Hello, we're back again. It's day. We've already said. We've only just said what day it is. It's day 13. Day 13. Show 50 something. Second show of the day. This was at 12:10, and this was the Collie's Shed. And this was my choice. This is theatre, drama, new writing. And it was at the space on North Bridge. Now we walked. First time we were looking at this venue. We walked past it. It's actually the Hilton Hotel, so how the heck I missed it? It was my fault for missing it. Anyway, we didn't this time. So I'll just read the little bit of blurb, and the thing that attracted me to this was the fact that it was about miners, because just to give my background, my uncle was a Bevin boy, and I worked the working men's clubs and the social clubs throughout the 1980s miners' strike. So what I've with my bandmates felt was really quite a unique view on the miners' strike. But anyway, so this is about the miners' strike. So it's for the past we inherited and the future we build. The Collie's Shed follows 4 retired miners as they discover how a review of the miners' strike in the 1980s suddenly affects them. Their friendships and their relationships, journeying between the past and the present. So how one violent day of strikes at the Bilston Glen Colliery leaves our characters wrestling with one another over what they think is right. Learn who these characters are, who they once were, and more importantly, what they stand for on the picket line. Can I start?
You can.
I love this. It's one of the smaller venues. It's a smallish room, maybe seating 50 people. They don't have a big stage to work with, and you've got 2 teams really. You've got the 4 miners as retired men and the 4 miners as young men, and the disagreement between the picket lines. And I think that it's just a fantastic piece of work, and there was a really interesting perspective from one of the younger miners who said that. I'm not giving anything away, but some of the miners felt they had to go back because of their families to break the strike and become what we call scabs, really. And the unique thing there was that this particular character clearly had no respect for anybody who'd got on the bus to go to work right at the beginning of the strike, but these were men that had been on strike for months, because the strike lasted a year, and they've got no food on the table. We know that the Thatcher government tried to break the miners' strike by making it so that it was almost impossible for them to have anything. And I just, and that particular character had sympathy to some extent with the other character who had got to the point of he had to break the strike, and you don't hear that very often, I don't think.
No, it was quite an interesting.
Here we are, 40 years later, and there are. Certainly in North Yorkshire and East Yorkshire, where and South Yorkshire, and Yorkshire in particular, because we know more about that than what happens up in Scotland. But there are still divided communities and divided families over this strike, which happened 40 years ago, and some of these guys were saying, look, we need to move on from this, and that's hard. That's hard for it's hard to forgive somebody when you were out on strike for months and they went back because they literally had no other choice. And I thought it was a fantastic piece of work, really. Really was,
Yeah, no, and I liked the way that you saw them retired, sort of making things in the Collie's Shed, where the title comes from. And then you had this sort of flashback, and it took me a while.
And it was hard to do, actually, that.
Yeah, well, it was, in the sense that you had to sort of think, oh, right, who's who?
Yeah.
Because you'd obviously met them.
But they were giving names, so it was fairly straightforward once after a few minutes.
But I didn't realise I had to remember, because I needed to, But it was, it again, it's a part of our history.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's still, as Ian said, you know, there are still families that are divided over this all these years later. And I liked that they started while we went in. There was a Billy Bragg song playing.
Yeah, there was actually.
And then at the actual start, when the lights went down, we had we had dialogue.
Bits of real dialogue. You could tell Arthur Scargill's voice.
Yes, yeah.
And some of the other NUM leaders. And there was Thatcher.
And there was obviously sounds and voices from some of the protests, and that played at the beginning, and you were really listening to the words that people were saying, and then there was a little bit later on, and I really liked that.
Although it was. They had a small stage, and at one point there's a fight almost.
Oh gosh, that was incredible.
It really came across as they were able to portray in a very, very small space how much anger was felt really, which I thought was really
and the two opposing views.
And I think it was just a fantastic piece of work. I mean, the one story, this is my one story, and we had Jane's story about Kate Bush in the previous video. My one story that I remember from the miners' strike was we turned up at a miners' welfare club to do a gig, and we usually didn't talk about the strike. This was about 3-4 months in, and our bass player made the mistake of asking the concert secretary how he thought the strike was going. And this concert secretary said, I've just been down in London today, I'm on the NUM executive here, and he said, we're going to lose. And that was 4 months in, and it went on for another 6-8 months. They knew then that they couldn't really win, which was really sad, really.
And is it relevant? I mean, I was going to say about my cousin.
Because he's relevant.
Living in York, my cousin, who was in the Met Police at the time, was one of those policemen who was shipped up. Billeted
up here.
Yeah, and he didn't say much about it.
No, he doesn't talk about it.
No.
No. We understand that because
But
there are two sides. You could argue that he was just doing his job.
Anyway,
he did.
It's just an aside.
But he did. Yeah. Oh no, I don't want to give anything away. Actually, I just thought there was something. Yeah, go see it because it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, go see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many stars?
Oh, I think 4.
It's a 4 from me too. It's a really good piece of work. In a what is quite a small room, but with probably a tiny budget, but fantastic work. Yeah. Fantastic piece of writing.
Yeah.
And fantastic and well acted by all eight.
Yeah.
By the whole cast. Okay. I should say what it's on.
Oh yes.
Right. There's 2 times, so you need to check. We saw it at 12:10, but there's also showing some days at 8:35. So check when you're going to go. It's on right the way through to the 27th. It's actually sold out on here on the 20th, but you may be able to get some tickets actually at the venue, or I've just lost my thing.
Yeah, it actually says here, I've got them on the flyer, so it's the 15th to the 20th, it's on at 12:10, and then 22nd to the 27th, it's at 8:35.
There's no show on the 21st.
Yeah, and it's £10 and £7. Sorry, have you already said that?
I hadn't. I hadn't said that. No.
Yeah. Okay.
So go see. It's an important piece of work. I know it's about history, but it's about the relationships of the families involved. Really.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay.
See you later.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.